Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we are diving into something truly fascinating, Gann's secret time cycles. We're going to explore a mysterious method that claims it can map out a market's future, all based on the work of a trading legend.
So let's start with a really bold question. Is it actually possible to know every major market turn for a whole year before it even happens? I know, it sounds impossible, right? But the source for this explainer says yes, and they use a 2019 chart of the Canadian dollar as their proof. Just look at that chart. Now imagine knowing every single one of those pivot points before the year even began. The source is adamant that this isn't just hindsight. They say it's the result of a full-on, decade-long mission to decode the hidden methods of one legendary trader.
So, who was this mastermind? His name was William Delbert Gann, but in trading circles, he's simply known as W.D. Gann, a man with a track record so good, it's become almost mythical. Get this. Gann was trading way back in the early 1900s and reportedly racked up a fortune of over $50 million. Now, in today's money, that's about $500 million. That's just a staggering amount of money for one person to make from the markets. And, he didn't just make a ton of money. The way he did it was almost unbelievable. We're talking about a career win rate of up to 92%, according to brokerage records. And remember, he did this long before computers, long before algorithms. It's just mind-boggling.
So, how did he do it? Well, according to his own pretty cryptic writings, the secret was something he called the law of vibration. He claimed this law was what let him pinpoint the exact tops and bottoms in the market. And it's that mysterious idea that sent researchers on a huge quest to figure out what he was really talking about.
Yeah, that one quote kicked off a search that lasted for 10 years. You see, Gann didn't just write a how-to manual. He supposedly hid his methods in plain sight, inside these really esoteric books, like his novel, Tunnel Thru the Air. So the knowledge wasn't just handed over, it had to be decoded, like a puzzle.
So after all that digging, this source for this explainer claims they actually reverse engineered his process. And this slide, wow, it really shows you the insane amount of work involved. You start by gathering just mountains of data, market data, math constants, even astronomical stuff like planetary movements. Then you sift through over 325,000 potential time cycles to find just the top 100. Then you narrow that down to the top 3, until finally you isolate one single governing number that drives that specific market. Okay, so that's the theory, but what does it actually look like in practice? You've got this one magic number, now what? Well, to see how it's applied, we're going to go right back to that 2019 chart for the Canadian dollar. But first, 2 really quick and important rules of the road for this system. The first is called Orb. It just means a forecast is considered a hit if the market turns on the exact day, the day before, or the day after. Simple enough. The second is Inversion, which is when the market does the complete opposite of what's expected, which, amazingly, the system claims you can also anticipate. All right, so after going through that whole exhaustive filtering process we just talked about, the governing number for the USD CAD in 2019 was discovered to be 0.21. That's it. That's the key that supposedly unlocks the entire year. Now, here's what's so wild. You don't take this number and put it on a price chart like a normal indicator. No, you use it to project dates on a calendar. You just find its multiples, 0.21, 0.42, 0.63, and on, and those numbers point to specific future dates. The whole thing is done completely separate from the price itself. It's all about time. So, we get to the most important question. Did it work? Well, when they took those calculated dates and plotted them on the 2019 chart, the source says that out of 33 signals, 30 of them were winners. That's a 91% win rate. Which sounds an awful lot like Gann's own legendary record, doesn't it? A 91% win rate? I mean, that sounds like the holy grail of trading, the ultimate edge. But this is where things get really practical, because the source makes a super important distinction about what this knowledge actually means when you're the one clicking the mouse. See, knowing when the market might turn, that's forecasting. That's the math part. But actually making money from that information, that's trading. That's the execution. And they are 2 totally different skill sets. It's like knowing the weather forecast versus actually sailing the ship. And this is why this all matters. Because even if you had a perfect forecast, a crystal ball, you still have to be a good trader.
You still need a solid plan for getting in and out of a trade. You absolutely need strict risk management, and you need the right mindset to execute your plan perfectly without letting fear or greed take over. The forecast is an amazing tool, but it's not a substitute for skill. And that leads us to our final, pretty provocative thought for today. If it's really true, if markets can be timed with this kind of mathematical precision, a precision that has nothing to do with news headlines, earnings reports, or politics, what does that suggest about what's actually driving them? Are they random and chaotic? Or is there some kind of hidden order, a rhythm that we're only just beginning to understand?